One of the greatest callings of the Jewish people is still laying ahead of them. Just recently, my eldest son came to me and he asked me, he says, "Dad, why is the Jewish people existing here in the land of Israel today? What is the reason the Jews have returned to this land?" And I told him, he says, "You know, there is a unique calling upon the Jewish people. They gave us the word of God, they gave us their Messiah and many spiritual blessings." And he says, "Yes, I understand that." But he says, "What is their calling for the future? Why did they come back to this land?" And this is a very important question for us to answer today. What is the future calling of the Jewish people? And as we shall see, the greatest calling of the Jewish people is still laying ahead of them. The prophet Zechariah tells us in Zechariah chapter 12, verse 10, he says that a time will come where God says, "Behold, I will pour out on the house of David and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and supplication. And they will look upon me whom they have pierced, yet they will mourn for him as one mourns for his only son, and grieve for him as one grieves for his firstborn." Now there are two things which the prophet tells us what would happen in the future to this very city. Number one, the Word of God tells us there will come a spiritual revival on the city of Jerusalem. God is going to pour out His Spirit of grace and supplication, and He will send revival to this very city of Jerusalem. It is actually a prophecy which is repeated in almost every single prophetic book of the Bible, where God says, "Behold, a time will come where I will pour out my Spirit, the Spirit of grace and supplication, on this nation, on the city of Jerusalem, on the inhabitants of this nation." This is still one of the greatest prophecies outstanding for the Jewish people. And then it speaks about something else. He says, when this is taking place, they will look upon him whom they have pierced, and they will mourn for him. In the times of the messianic restoration of the Jewish people, this very city, Jerusalem, will have an enormous influence around the world. The mountain of the Lord will be established as the top of the mountains. Now, this does not mean that there will be a geological transformation here in the city of Jerusalem or in the Middle East, but what it does mean is that the city of Jerusalem, the mountain of the Lord here in this city, will become the most influential place on earth. Nations will say to each other, "Come, let us go to Jerusalem," because they know this will be the place where they can meet God. This will be the place where the instruction will go out, even for government leaders, kings and presidents of this world. They will meet God here, and God will instruct them how to rule their nations in peace and in righteousness and in justice.